Scholastica is a saint of the Roman Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Churches. Born in Italy, according to a 9th-century tradition, she was the twin sister of Benedict of Nursia. Her feast day is the 10th of February. Life. Scholastica was born in 480 in Nursia, Umbria, of wealthy parents, and according to Gregory the Great's dialogues, was dedicated to God from a young age. She and her brother Benedict were brought up together until the time he left to pursue studies in Rome. A young Roman woman of Scholastica's class and time would likely have remained in her father's house until marriage or entry into religious life. But wealthy women could inherit property, divorce, and were generally literate. On occasion, several young women would live together in a household and form a religious community. Benedictine tradition holds that Scholastica lived in a convent at Plum Areola about 5 miles from Monte Cassino and that this was the first Benedictine convent. However, it has been suggested that it is more likely that she lived in a hermitage with 1 or 2 other religious women in a cluster of houses at the base of Mount Cassino where there is an ancient church named after her. Ruth Clifford Engs notes that since dialogues indicates that Scholastica was dedicated to God at an early age, perhaps she lived in her father's house with other religious women until his death and then moved nearer to Benedict. The most commonly told story about her is that she would, once a year, go and visit her brother at a place near his abbey, and they would spend the day worshipping together and discussing sacred texts and issues. One day they had supper and continued their conversation. When Benedict indicated it was time for him to leave, perhaps sensing the time of her death was drawing near, she asked him to stay with her for the evening so they could continue their discussions. Not wishing to break his own rule, Benedict refused, insisting that he needed to return to his cell. Benedict asked, "What have you done?" To which she replied, "I asked you and you would not listen, so I asked my God and he did listen. So now go off, if you can, leave me and return to your monastery." Benedict was unable to return to his monastery, and they were spent the night in discussion. According to Gregory's dialogues, 3 days later, from his cell, he saw his sister's soul leaving the earth and ascending to heaven in the form of a shining white dove. Benedict had her body brought to his monastery, where he caused it to be laid in the tomb which he had prepared for himself. Legacy. Scholastica is the foundress of the women's branch of Benedictine monasticism. She was selected as the main motif for a high-value commemorative coin, the Austria €50. The Christian Religious Orders, issued the 13th of March 2002. On the obverse side of the coin, Scholastica is depicted alongside Benedict. Scholastica is the patron saint of nuns, and convulsive children, and is invoked against storms and rain. Her memorial is the 10th of February. She is the patron saint of nuns. She sacrificed many opportunities for her and her brother, just so they could get closer to God.